I'm Nathaniel Rono.
Hi, I'm Christine Rono. Please join us in saying,
Life is a gift for which we are grateful.
We gather in community to celebrate the glory and mystery of this great gift.
Hi, my name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and my deep honor to serve First Church as its minister and to welcome you to another wonderful worship service. We are so grateful that you're here, so grateful for the precious gift of your time and attention. There's a wonderful worship service waiting for you. This now marks one whole year that we've been doing these virtual services, and we hear today from lots of really wonderful folks from all different parts of the community sharing about this year and where they were at the beginning of it and some of what's helped them get through. And it's really beautiful what folks share. So I'm so grateful for everyone who participated today and so excited for you to hear from them. But before we get going, just wanted to lift up a couple things coming your way. Actually, today, very exciting, we have a program from a member of the community, historian, writer, expert, Lori Noble is going to be doing a program called Standing Before Us, which is diving into the writer Catherine Maria Sedgwick. So that should be really wonderful. It's this afternoon. There's going to be details about it in the email that brought you this service. So do please come to that. That'll be really fun. And then right after the coffee hour, this morning at 11 o'clock, we have a newcomer gathering. This is going to be every month on the second Sunday. Sam Foster, our membership coordinator, and I will be hosting a gathering for folks who are newer to the church. So if you'd like to come get any questions answered around Unitarian Universalism or the church, just connect with some newer folks, please do. You can contact Sam for the Zoom details. And again, there's a link to that on the calendar on the website, or you can also just reach out to me. So both of those things are great. So many other programs that are really wonderful. But for now, come, let us worship together.
1 year ago, almost to the day, I began working from home. I was among the lucky ones whose work laying out a medical journal could be done as easily across town as across the hall. The grief of not seeing my workmates, not puzzling over each issue in close collaboration, not enjoying the in-house yoga during lunch breaks and casual conversations around the Starbucks machine was to be short-lived, we were told. As weeks stretched into months, the denial, anger, and bargaining gave way to depression. Everything was canceled, postponed, two-dimensional, grudgingly accepted. The new normal. What began as a sprint to protect ourselves, this won't happen to us, became a marathon without any preparatory training. Many could not avoid pain and suffering. Many fell by the wayside. We are at Heartbreak Hill now, hoping the end will be soon in sight. It has been a brutal race to face this illness. Like all illnesses, this one has its metaphors. We've been driven inside. Our homes become private penitentiaries for showing sorrow at what's gone wrong. Too many cars on the road, planes in the air, clothes in our closets, Black lives forsaken, hate messages, and not enough love messages. This time apart has given us the means for reflection on the inherent worth of all, the web of interconnectedness of which we are a part, and the undeniable fact that we need one another. We will emerge from our various cocoons and chrysalids, transformed, permanently altered, more beautiful than ever. Here's a poem by Julia Alvarez, author of How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents and in the Time of Butterflies. It's called, How Will This Pandemic Affect Poetry? Will the lines be 6 feet apart? Will these hexameters be heroic like Homer's? Will each word have to be masked? Will there be poetry in security? Will there be enough poetry to go around? Will poems be our preferred form of travel? Will we undertake odysseys searching for Ithacas inside us? Will poetry go viral? Will its dis-ease infect us? Will it help build up antibodies against indifference? Will poems be the only safe spaces where we can gather together? Enter their immense silences, see snakes slithering inside sestinas, listen to nightingales singing on the boughs of odes. Hark, a lark in the terza rima, a hawk in a haiku. What if only poetry can see us through? What if this poem is the vaccine already working inside us?
No one ever told us we had to study our lives, make of our lives a study, as if learning natural history, that we should begin with the simple exercises first and slowly go on trying the hard ones, practicing till strength and accuracy became one with the daring to leap into transcendence, take the chance of breaking down the wild arpeggio or faulting the full sentence of the fugue. And in fact, we can't live like that. We take on everything at once before we've even begun to read or mark time. We're forced to begin in the midst of the hardest movement, the one already sounding as we are born. Everything seems beyond us. We aren't ready for it. Nothing that was said is true for us, caught naked in the argument, the counterpoint, trying to sight read what our fingers can't keep up with, learn by heart what we can't even read. And yet, it is this we were born to. We aren't virtuosi or child prodigies. There are no prodigies in this realm, only a half-blind, stubborn, cleaving to the timber, the tones of what we are, even when all the texts describe it differently.
Hello, First Church. I'm Tara Donner. Just over a year ago, I was getting ready to take a big leap at my work and try out returning to teach full-time. I have been a 7th grade English teacher in Winchester for 17 years, but for the last 8, I've taught part-time to help our family better balance the needs of supporting our 2 children and keeping the household running with a more manageable stress level for all 4 of us. My co-teacher had left unexpectedly early on maternity leave, and I jumped in to cover her classes at the end of February 2020. I was not sure how working full-time, being a parent of 2 kids, and serving as a Belmont School Committee member would all balance out. In short, it was a big change for us. We were only 2 weeks into this new routine when school went remote. Immediately, the time I needed to devote to my school committee work increased dramatically to more than 25 hours a week on many weeks. The need to focus on my children and help them stay calm, grounded, and secure increased exponentially. The need for flexibility and creativity, not to mention new tech skills required to teach my students during this time, exploded as well. What has sustained me during this incredibly challenging time has been a combination of a few key things. Personally and professionally, what is keeping me going is having the opportunity to use my own experience in the classroom to contribute to the decision-making about how the Belmont Public Schools should proceed to best support all the children of Belmont. Despite the intense criticism from those who were unsatisfied with what the school committee and school administration were attempting, which was to make the least bad set of decisions in an unprecedentedly bad scenario, the hundreds of hours I've spent in the last year on my school committee work has given me the strength to keep taking the next right step, as Reverend Chris put it last spring in a sermon. I've used my position as a school committee member to try to make things better in a bad situation. And the feeling that my classroom teaching experience, supporting over 1,500 students in my career, could help shape the plans for the students of Belmont has kept me going, and is the reason why I decided to run again for re-election. During the horrors of the spring that brought the names George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor to my consciousness, the chance to not only teach my own students about how to use their feelings to fuel change in our society, but also to co-found an equity subcommittee of the school committee to make sure that this work lasts longer than the news cycle and makes a lasting difference in our school system for future generations in Belmont has also sustained me. And of course, the chance to take a break from all of that work and just walk in the woods sometimes gives me the energy to do it all again.
This is the time in our service where we invite forward an offering to help support the good work of the church, both within and beyond our walls. This month, all month, our offerings will be shared with the Louis D. Brown Pace Institute. These are the wonderful folks that we partner with for their Mother's Day March for Peace. We will be organizing a team again this year. Please do reach out. There's lots of information about that on the email that brought you this service and our website. We look forward to having you join our team. There's also going to be some opportunities for education with them, hosted by them later in July. So do stay tuned for that, but they're a wonderful organization. In addition, we're in the home stretch of our pledge drive, so do please, if you haven't had a chance to pledge, reach out. If you have any questions, you can email stewardship@uubelmont.org, and you can also pledge online through the portal or mail in your pledge to the church like the ancestors with a stamp and everything. Any way that you can is super helpful. So however you are generous, we are deeply, deeply grateful. So now we are grateful to receive all that you are about to give.
Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Gonna walk and never tire. Oh, walk and never tire. Oh, walk and never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, sing together, children, don't you get weary. Sing together, children, don't you get weary. Sing together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Gonna sing and never tire. Oh, sing and never tire. Oh, sing and never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, shout together, children, don't you get weary. Shout together, children, don't you get weary. Shout together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Gonna shout and never tire. Oh, shout and never tire. Oh, shout and never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Sing together, children, don't you get weary. Shout together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting, great camp meeting, great camp meeting in the promised land.
But there come times, perhaps this is one of them, when we have to take ourselves more seriously or die. When we have to pull back from the incantations, rhythms we've moved to thoughtlessly, disenthrall ourselves, bestow ourselves to silence, or a severer listening. Cleansed of oratory, formulas, choruses, laments, static crowning the wires, we cut the wires, find ourselves in free fall as if our true home were the undimensional solitudes, the rift in the great nebula. No one who survives to speak new language has avoided this, the cutting away of an old force that held her rooted to an old ground, the pitch of utter loneliness, where she herself and all creation seemed equally dispersed, weightless, her being a cry to which no echo comes or can even come.
Hi, my name is Marian Westgate, and my family pod includes my husband Sean and my two boys, Michael, who is 3, and Thomas, who is 5. In March last year, I had just started a new job at the Union of Concerned Scientists. I was preparing for significant business travel. I was excited for the opportunity, but also really nervous about leaving my family. In the end, I only got one trip in before everything shut down. At church, we were meeting families with young kids through the Families Together program, and we were starting to get to know each other. I was really enjoying it and was looking forward to making new connections with adults and bond with other parents of young kids. On the home front, we were struggling with after-school care for Thomas, our older son, who was at the preschool at Wellington at the time. I really wanted a German speaker, and we had cycled through different scenarios, but none worked well. And as all of you parents know, covering childcare in the best of times causes anxiety. And then the pandemic hit. I started working from home right away. Both kids were home all day, every day. And it was so hard to do them justice and to pay attention to them and work anything at all. Forget time to myself. I honestly remember very little from those early days. It's all a blur. What ultimately got me through, that really changed from season to season. I think what got me through the early days was the sunshine. Thank goodness this started in March and not in November. We have the luxury of having a backyard, and we spend a lot of time outside with the boys. And then my parents got me through the summer. I took the boys to Germany, where I'm from, and my parents essentially took care of them all summer, and I was able to work, and we were there for 2 months. And without that, I think I would have fallen apart. The fall is sort of more of a blur. All I remember is walks, a lot of walks. And then the winter has been really hard. And the thing that has got me through this winter is gratitude. I made a conscious decision to double down on silver linings and realized that many of them really had been there all along, but I just hadn't paid attention to them. Like my budding early daily meditation practice, that has been really helpful. It has also been amazing to see my son's close sibling bond evolve, ups and downs. What has also got me through is gratitude to my employer, who is really supporting working parents and continuing to pay 100% of everybody's salaries, even though we all don't work anywhere close to 100%. Lots and lots of video calls with grandparents and aunts and family members. And I realized that there really is a lot to be grateful for, and that is probably the main thing that has gotten me through.
Vision begins to happen in such a life. As if a woman quietly walked away from the argument and the jargon in a room and sitting down in the kitchen began turning in her lap bits of yarn, calico, and velvet scraps, laying them out absently on the scrubbed boards in the lamplight with small rainbow-colored shells set in cotton wool from somewhere far away. Not forgotten either, the shed silver whisker of the cat, the spiral paper wasp nest curling. Such a composition has nothing to do with eternity. The striving for greatness, brilliance, only with the musicking of a mind, one with her body, experienced fingers quietly pushing dark against bright, silk against roughness, putting the tenets of a life together with no mere will to mastery, only a care for the many lived, unending forms in which she finds herself, becoming now the sherd of broken glass, slicing light in a corner dangerous to flesh, now the plentiful soft leaf that wrapped round the throbbing finger soothes the wound. And now the stone foundation, rock shelf, further forming underneath everything that grows.
My name is Sarah Axelrod, and I live in Somerville, Massachusetts. March 2020, it had been quite a winter for my family. In 2019, I had left a stable but somewhat boring job to start a company with someone, an uncharacteristically daring move for me. And it went from destabilizing to exciting to draining to unhealthy and full of worrisome power dynamics. And I spent January and February slowly coming to the realization that I was going to have to leave, but hoping that something would change that would convince me to stay, and it didn't. And calling my boss to tell her that I was walking away filled me with dread. But as soon as I did it, I felt free and I felt proud of myself and ready to reinvent myself yet again. I had, after all, emerged from this job with new and exciting skills, and after a meeting with a career counselor on March 6th, had opened my eyes to the many, many professional opportunities that I might consider. I was feeling pretty good. And that very day, the stable and boring but lovely employer that I had left for the startup took me to lunch and asked me to consider coming back. And that afternoon, my college advisor asked me for coffee so that he could encourage me to reconsider applying for a job in his department. So I ended March 6th with a solo trip to the Museum of Fine Arts, and I renewed my annual membership. And of all the actual doors I walked through that day, the MFA, the Office of Career Services, Pavement Coffee House, the little Harvard Square restaurant whose name I don't remember, not a single one remained open a week later. March 13th, my four-year-old daughter's daycare closed. And an intended March 14th trip to New York City to see a friend was abruptly canceled. And as my husband's work moved into our spare bedroom and soon ramped up to 11, the person left to plug the childcare hole was me. So my professional reinvention would have to wait. And my career wasn't the only area of my life in a period of what I had hoped would be growth and change. We were excitedly looking forward to something that all daycare tuition paying parents dream of: public school. We had enrolled my daughter in Somerville Public Pre-K for the fall on that first day that enrollments were open, because we love to plan, you see. And gosh, we had bought tickets to go to Hawaii, which was going to cost us only a small fraction of what we were going to be saving by leaving the daycare days behind. Well, you all know what happened to those plans. Chris asked what has given us strength to get through this year. And I wish I could say that I felt strong. I feel exhausted by remote learning and by not knowing and by still looking for a job a year later. I truly have to get through 1 week at a time. one day at a time, in a way that I don't think I ever have before. And there are little things in every day that I'm already looking forward to when I get in bed at night. Every morning, I wake up before my daughter, make coffee, and I do the New York Times crossword. And on Sundays, I let my husband help. Every weekend, we order takeout at least once. Every Saturday after the crossword, I run to the Middlesex Fells without a plan, and I just go. And eventually, I find my way back to Davis Square, and I end my run with a cup of the good coffee, and I walk home. Every Thursday morning, all three of us, my husband, my 5-year-old, and me, bribe ourselves to clean the whole house in exchange for the good croissants. Every evening when my daughter goes to bed, my husband and I watch the good TV. Every morning when my daughter wakes up, she is at her most cuddly and sweet and content. I do not know what is coming, when there will be in-person school, when we will get vaccines, when we can make real travel plans, or when the professional reinvention I had hoped for might actually happen. But these are the things that I do know are just there.
Though I may speak with bravest fire, and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, as something crass and hopeless vain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to thee may roll. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
We give thanks for puzzling over issues in close collaboration, for marathons with no preparatory training. We give thanks for time for reflection on the inherent worth of all, for emerging more beautiful than ever. We give thanks for odysseys searching for Ithacas inside us, for vaccines already working. We give thanks for sunshine, for this all starting in March, for backyards and grandparents and walks. We give thanks for doubling down on silver linings, for budding meditation practices and ups and downs of sibling bonds. We give thanks for supportive employers and video calls with family, for feeling exhausted, for not knowing, for getting through one day at a time. We give thanks for early morning coffee and crosswords, for even sometimes letting our husband help. We give thanks for the good coffee and the good croissants, for early morning cuddly content children. We give thanks for making the least bad set of decisions, for doing the next right thing. We give thanks for using feelings to fuel change in our society, for George Floyd, for Ahmaud Arbery, for Breonna Taylor. We give thanks for walking in the woods, for finding the energy to do it all again. We give thanks that there come times Perhaps this is one of them. Times in which we bestow ourselves to silence. Times in which we know ourselves, in which we cut the wires and in free fall find our true home, find new language, find the new way forward. Dear friends, here we are, 1 year later. We give thanks. Amen.